If you're named as executor in a parent's or sibling's will, there's a $34,000 risk most Canadians don't know exists. You can be held personally liable for someone else's tax bill, and the rule applies even if you never touched the largest asset the deceased owned. This is Aisha. She's 61, a retired teacher in Guelph. Her younger brother David died unexpectedly. His will named Aisha as executor. David had two main assets, a $280,000 RRSP with his son listed as the sole beneficiary, and a $42,000 checking account at his bank. As executor, Aisha did what most families do. She closed the checking account, paid David's funeral expenses, and distributed what was left to David's grandchildren, as David's will instructed. The RRSP wasn't part of the estate. The son had been named directly on the contract, so the funds went straight to the son. Aisha never saw that money. She assumed it had nothing to do with her. 4 months later, the Canada Revenue Agency reassessed David's final tax return. The bill was $139,000. Here's the rule most people don't know. When an RRSP or RRIF holder dies without a surviving spouse to roll the account over to, the entire value of the account is deemed received as income on the deceased's final tax return. The tax is on the deceased, not on whoever received the funds via beneficiary designation. The son got the $280,000, but David's estate was responsible for the tax bill on it. The estate had $42,000. Aisha had already distributed it. What happened next was the second rule most Canadians don't know. Under Section 159 of the Income Tax Act, the legal representative of a deceased Canadian, the executor, is personally liable for the deceased's unpaid tax debt. The liability is capped at the value of estate assets the executor distributed without first receiving CRA's clearance certificate. Aisha had distributed $42,000. After provincial offsets and credits on David's terminal return, the final assessment against Aisha personally came to $34,000 from her own savings for her brother's tax debt. There was a form that would have prevented all of this, CRA Form TX19, asking for a clearance certificate. The legal representative files it before distributing any estate assets. The CRA reviews the deceased's final tax position and issues a written certificate confirming the legal rep is no longer personally liable. The form is free. The CRA's target is to issue 80% of clearance certificates within 120 days. Once the certificate is issued, the executor can distribute the estate's assets with no personal exposure. There is one further trap to know. TX19 covers income tax only. If the deceased operated a business, a self-employed contractor, consultant, or anyone who collected GST or HST, Form GST 352 is the separate GST clearance certificate. Filing TX19 without GST 352 leaves the executor personally exposed on the GST side. If you're named as executor in someone's will, 3 rules to know at any age the moment the role is assigned. First, never distribute estate assets, bank accounts, investments, vehicles, cash, jewelry, until you have filed CRA Form TX19 and received the clearance certificate in writing. Distributing earlier exposes you personally to every tax dollar the deceased owed. Second, even when the deceased's largest assets, RRSPs, RRIFs, life insurance, jointly held property, bypass the estate via beneficiary designation, the tax on those assets stays with the deceased's final return. The funds may go to one person. The tax bill stays with the estate. As executor, you are administering the estate that owes the tax. Third, if the deceased operated a business, file Form GST 352 alongside TX19. Income tax clearance and GST clearance are separate certificates. Both must be issued before the estate is safely closed. Aisha had no warning. The will appointed her. She did what most families do, settled accounts, paid bills, gave the remaining money to the people her brother had named. The tax assessment arrived 4 months after the funeral. The form she should have filed was free. The protection was total. She just didn't know it existed.